neural control. Okay, neural control and coordination complete chapter, right? We have to react the chapter. Am I correct? Fine. So let's start with neural control and coordination. Let me open the notebook, what we have studied in a regular class. Control and coordination. Just a minute. Yes, this was their notebook. Fine. So let me start with the neural control and the coordination. Look. So in neural control and coordination, first we have studied what are the functions of neural system. What were the functions of neural system? Take the NCERT along with you and keep on checking with the NCERT as well, and keep on telling me that you got it or not got it, right? So I want response, regular response from your end, right? Right. So first, what are the function of neural system? So we have discussed that there are three main function of neural system, right? So previously we used to call it neuron, right? Neuron system or nervous system. But nowadays we do not use these terms; they are outdated term, nervous system or neuron system, right? So nowadays we are using the term neural system, and but the neural system is that system which is made up of neurons, right? So there are three main function of neural system: first receiving, then processing, and then responding. So first receiving. Receiving means that we are receiving the sensory impulses, right? So we are receiving the impulses, or rather than we are receiving the stimulus. So what is the stimulus? So during the class, I have told you that the stimulus is any kind of the physical or chemical change that takes place in external environment, that is called stimulus, right? So there are three main functions. First function is receiving. So we receive the stimulus from the sensory nerve. So those nerves which receive the information, they are called sensory. Means those nerves which take the information towards the brain, they are called sensory. And those nerves which bring back the order of these nerves, they are called motor nerves. So in receiving, we receive the sensory, we receive the signals or stimulus from sensory nerve, and we take it to the CNS, right? And the second function is processing. Processing means that is the decision making, right? So basically, this is the decision making. Decision making. So in processing, our brain take the information and on the basis of previous experience is take the decision, right? After the decision, it respond. So in respond, the order goes from CNS to body part, right? So that is that there are three main function of the neural system, right? And I have told you one more thing, that the sponges do not have neural system. Do not have neural system. Neural system. So sponges do not have neural system. So Mazia, during the class, I have told you that this question have been asked in medical examination. That sponges belong to a particular kind of the phylum, and we know that the name of the phylum, that is a Porifera. So in the nutshell, we can say that phylum Porifera do not have nervous system. This is the only animal phylum which do not have nervous system, right? So these were the three function of neural system. Clear? Right? Keep on telling me. Yes. Fine. So the next thing is that is the structure of neuron, right? So fine. The structure of neuron. This is the actually structure of neuron. This diagram belongs to this diagram. It belongs to the structure of neuron, right? So in a structure of neuron, this is a single neuron. So this is the basic, you can say this is the functional or structural unit of the nervous system. It is the structural and functional unit of the nervous system. So complete nervous system is made up of these kind of the cells, and these cells are called neurons or nerve cells. Look, now the neurons are the nerve cells. They are made up of three parts basically. This upper part, this is the called actually the body or soma, right? Then this part is called axon, and this part is called root, right? The last part is called root. So we can say neurons are made up of three parts. That is the body or soma, axon, and root. Now the body or soma, they are made up of this star kind of the structure. This star kind of the structure, they have efferent, they have afferent systems. So what is the afferent system? Actually, they are called dendroid. These branches are known as dendroid. Their name is dendroid. So what is the dendroid? Dendroids are those branches which takes the information from outer environment. What is the outer environment? For sake of example, these dendroid remains spread in our whole skin. So if there is a something cold outside, colder environment or minus temperature is there, right? So they receive the coldness, and they tell us that is there is a coldness or low temperature. So they take the information from outside. That's why they are called. That's why they are called afferent system, right? Again, they take the information. After taking the information, this information goes from the axon to the outer side of the body. So that's why they are called efferent process, right? And the last part is called root, right? These dendroid, they receive the stimulus, right? Now this soma or this complete body is called soma, and whatever it is present inside that, this part is called actually neuroplasm. So whatever the protoplasm kind of the protoplasm kind of the material present over there, this is called the this is called the neuroplasm, right? There is a larger nucleus. There are a small granule-like structure. These are called Nissel's granule. Nissel's granule, the function of Nissel's granule is still not known to the scientists, but yes, they do have some idea. According to them, Nissel's granule are meant for the protein synthesis. So basically, they are involved in the protein synthesis. And Nissel's granules, they are the very peculiar to the this one, right? They are very peculiar to neurons only. They are found only in neurons. And there is a soma. Soma means there is a neuroplasm. And after the neuroplasm, this base part, this is called axon or efferent process. Axon may be myelinated or not myelinated. What is the myelin? Myelin. These yellow colored structures are called myelin sheath, means myelin covering. They make the covering around the axon part. So what is their function? Actually, if the neuron have myelin sheath, then the rate of information will be, or flow of the information, or we can say speed of the information will be very high. And if they do not have myelin, means they are non-myelinated, they have very low speed or velocity of the neural system, right? Again, myelin may or may not be present over there, right? It may be over there or may not be over there, right? Just Bazia, give me 1 second, right? Give me just 1 second. Let me fix something. Right. So this part is basically uh, This part basically called axon or efferent process. Last part is called root, right? This axon may have or may not have myelin. This is not sure that it should have myelin sheath, but provided, yes, if it have myelin sheath, then the rate of information will be faster. If myelin sheath is not present, then rate of information will be slow. Again, these myelin sheath are secreted by small cells, which remains stuck on these axons, right? And these are called Schwann cells. So if myelin sheath is present, means Schwann cells are present, because myelin sheath is secreted by Schwann cell only. If myelin sheath is not present, means Schwann cell will not be present, right? Or vice versa, right? Again, there are the joint between two myelin cells, two Schwann cells or two myelin sheath. There is a gap that is called node of Ranvier. Node of Ranvier is that part from where the branch of neuron arises. Means the neuron may be branched or unbranched. So if branch arises, that arises from the node of Ranvier, right? Again, myelin is a white color of protein, and I have already told you the function. The function of myelin to increase the rate of information flow. The last part is called root, right? So now I have shown with the red color, I have shown the flow of the information, the direction of the flow of the information. So direction, the neurons, they are called efferent process because they receive the information, and the efferent process, axon are efferent process because they pass on the information, right? So this is the structure of neuron, right? And again, one more thing, the outer covering or membrane of the neuron is called exolemma. I have already told exolemma, and this is the axon. The membrane outside of the axon is called exolemma, and again, the protoplasm which is present is called exoplasm, right? Is that clear? Clear to all? Mazia? Structure of neuron, and keep on watching in your this one NCRT as well, right? And in case if you have any query in your NCRT in any line, you can ask. So this was the structure of neuron. Now come to the next heading. Now, what is a human neural system and how does it work? So this is the human neural system. In human neural system, this is the brain, right? And in brain, there is a particular area that receive the information, and the area which receive the information, this is called sensory nerve fiber, right? Or sorry, sensory area, right? And the fiber which takes the information toward the brain, they are called sensory nerve fiber. Look, in skin, there are a particular kind of the cells, they are called skin receptor. What skin receptor actually do? So receptors are found in our whole part of the skin. So these receptors, they takes the stimulus. Take the stimulus. Stimulus means any kind of the change. Stimulus. They take the any kind of the stimulus. Skin receptor taken the stimulus. Stimuluses are taken by the sensory fiber, right? The sensory nerve, they taken the stimulus. They, with the help of the sensory, so those we have already discussed in first slide, that the nerve which take the information towards the brain, they are called sensory, right? So sensory nerve fiber, they take the information toward the brain. The part of brain which receive the information, that part is called sensory area of human brain. Again, it is divided by that is the a structure that is called central sulcus, right? And another area which gives the decision, that is called motor area. From motor area, orders are sent with the help of a neuron. Neurons, these are called motor nerve fiber. Motor nerve fiber take the orders to the particular muscles which have to do the action. They are called afferent fiber. For sake of example, we have touched any hot object. So what will happen? The receptor which are present in our finger, they receive the heat and they receive the information. Now the information will be taken to our brain, from our hand to the brain, with the help of sensory nerve fiber. In brain, there is a particular area that will receive the sensation of heating, sensory area. After the receiving, there is a motor area that will decide that if hand is not pulled, then what will happen? The hand may get damaged and the person will feel the pain. In the same time, what will happen? motor will give the information, and the motor will give the order to the muscles of hand, and they are called motor nerve fiber. And this motor nerve fiber, when they give the information to the muscle, then muscles will contract. That's how the human neural system functions. Clear? That's how the human neural system functions. Is that clear? Clear, Mazia? Human neural system? Okay, fine, great. Now come to the next. Human nerve system, the part of human nerve system. So there are basically two parts of human nervous system, right? They have two main part. First part is central nervous system, CNS. CNS is made up of brain plus spinal cord, right? Central nervous system. And second is PNS, that is a peripheral nerve system. Peripheral, look, the central nervous system, which is the present exactly, if you will see the human body from the top, then which is present at the central part, that is called central nervous system. And then PNS, peripheral nervous system, which is present outside of our body, that is called peripheral nervous system, right? Then peripheral nervous system is made up of two kind of the nerves. They are called cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Cranial nerves, they originate from the cranium. Cranium is this part. This is the brain box. They originate from the cranium and spinal cord. And spinal nerve, they originate from the spinal nerve. Look, here, this brain part, it belongs to the central nervous system. Backbone, the spinal cord, it belongs to the central nervous system. So there are two things which belong to this cerebrum and this spinal cord. Again, now there are certain nerves which originate from the brain. They are called cranial nerves. Look, these are the cranial nerves. They originate from the brain. And the rest of the nerve, they are called spinal nerve. Further, spinal nerve are divided into further these parts. So first one, those nerves which arise from this neck region, they are called cervical nerves. Those which arise from the lungs part, they are called the chest part, they are called thoracic nerve. Those which arise from the region of our stomach, they are called lumbar nerves. And last but not the least, those which arise from this lower part of the spinal cord, they are called sacral nerves, right? So cervical, thoracic, lumbar, and sacral. There are four part of the neurons, right? Clear? Four kind of the nerve. CNS and PNS, that is the important question. They can ask you the CNS and PNS. This is very important for your school exam. Central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. And the function of nervous system, that is also important. Clear? Mazia? Clear this concept, CNS, PNS?
Yes.
Fine. Now come to the third. Now come to the central nervous system. So basically, we have discussed the central nervous system is made up of two things, brain and spinal cord. Now, this is the look, human brain is made up of forebrain, right? So forebrain, midbrain, so human brain is made up of forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. So we have divided basically brain in three parts, forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. So forebrain, this upper part of this upper covering is called forebrain. Now, it is made up of three parts, olfactory lobe, cerebrum, and diencephalon, right? Again, the midbrain is divided in two parts, corpora quadrigemina and corpora cerebri. Hindbrain means back brain. Hind means back. Hindbrain. This is hind, but we pronunciated hindbrain, right? Hindbrain means back brain. Hindbrain is made up of basically three parts: cerebellum. Cerebrum means brain, and cerebellum means small brain, right? Keep it in mind. This is the literally meaning. It is a Latin word. This is the meaning in English. Now, pons and medulla. So these are the three basic. These are the classification of human brain, right? Forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Now we will study one by one. forebrain have olfactory, cerebellum, and diencephalon. So what are the function of this part? Look. So first, the brain is divided like this way. So this is the basically the brain, and there is a right hemisphere and left hemisphere. So brain is divided basically in two parts. This is the right hemisphere and this is the left hemisphere. In the brain, there are certain folding, right? So the folded structure, like downward depressions, they are called sulcus, and upward uplifted part, they are called gyrus. So complete brain is made up of folding, and these folding are known as sulcus and gyrus, right? Again, the forebrain further down. First, we have divided brain in three parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Further, we have divided forebrain into four parts, right? Frontal, cerebellum, diencephalon, cerebrum, diencephalon, and olfactory lobe. So further, forebrain is divided into this part. Olfactory lobe, this is responsible for the sense of smell, right? So olfactory lobe is a particular part of the forebrain that is dedicated for the smell sensing, bad or good, any kind of the smell. Now, the second part is cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest part of the forebrain, right? Now, further, cerebrum is divided into frontal part. So this front part is called frontal. This rooftop, parietal means rooftop. Rooftop part is called parietal. This temple part, this is called temporal, and backside part is called occipital. So we have divided further cerebrum into four parts: frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital. Now we will study what are the function one by one. What are the function of this part? Frontal have the function of it produces creative ideas. The creative ideas like making the art, making any sculpture, making like any comedy, making any kind of the thing. So any kind of the creative thing what we do. So those people whose frontal part is developed, they are more creative. It help in judgment, right? So this is the judgmental part, is help in the taking judgment, right? It is responsible for intellectual ability, right? Intellectual ability. So it provides us intellectual ability, reasoning and decision, right? This is responsible for reasoning and decision making. It is responsible for emotion. It is responsible for personality, right? It is responsible for personality development, right? Next, parietal, right? So parietal part, it is responsible for touch, heat, pain, and cold. It is also responsible for position and shape, and right, it gives us the information about the position and position of any object, like is it inverted, is it horizontal, it is vertical, right? Touch, right? Position, pain, cold, right? The kind of the external sensation, right? Position on shape, and it takes the information, right? Again, temporal part. Temporal part is dedicated for sound, the type of the sound we produce or we listen, languages, the language which you learn and speak or listen and understand, smell, again this is also responsible for smell, and memory and emotion, right? This is also responsible for memory and emotion. Occipital part, this is the responsible for the visual information, shape and color, right? So these are the functions of these part, right? Clear? The function of olfactory and function of cerebrum, right? So cerebrum, it have four part, right? Frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. I have discussed the function with you, and the third part, that so first part was olfactory lobe, second part was frontal, and then diencephalon. Diencephalon have hypothalamus, three kind of gland: hypothalamus, thalamus, and epithalamus. Right? It have three parts. It is called thermostat of the body. Why? Because that is it control or regulate the temperature of the body. That is regulate temperature of body, right? Behavioral activity means it is responsible for appetite, right? Thirst and satiety. Satiety means that is the feeling of satisfied. Satiety means feeling of satisfaction. Feeling of satisfied. Is that clear? Function of forebrain. Mazia, tell me. Look at the function. Look at your notebook, notes, and NCRT as well, and keep on telling you that is it clear to you or not. It is already given in page number 320 in your this one. Page number 320, page number 321. It's already given in your NCRT. So tell me. Look at the NCRT and look at your notebook. Okay, great. It's clear. Fine. So I'll move in next topic. Next topic is now. So we have studied the forebrain. Now we are going to study the midbrain and hindbrain. Look. So as we have studied that midbrain is divided in two parts. So basically, midbrain is the most smallest part of the brain, and this is the smallest part of the brain, and it have two areas. This is corpora quadrigemina and cerebra peduncle, or cerebra or corpora cruri, right? So corpora quadrigemina, it is responsible for sense of sight and hearing, right? It helps in sense of sight, means visual information. They help the eyes, and sense of hearing, when they help the ear. Cerebral peduncle, this is responsible for, right? So it give the information to the cerebrum and hindbrain. It like it work as a data cable. It connect the forebrain with the hindbrain, right? So that is their function, right? And hindbrain have basically three parts. So as we see, the midbrain do not have that much very important function, but yes, it do have the function. Hindbrain is made up of three parts. Cerebellum, that is called a small brain. Cerebellum means is actually a small brain. Pons varuli, medulla oblongata. So look, cerebellum, it is responsible for rapid vascular activity. What kind of activity? Like we are running, typing, talking, right? Those people who are more talkative, they have very well developed cerebellum. Again, they are responsible for involuntary activities and involved in learning at early age. So involuntary activity, those activity like heartbeat, like this respiration, and all these kind of the activity where involuntary action, digestion, it is involuntary action. So our cerebellum is involved in that, and it is also involved in learning at the early stage. So whenever a child is a 2-year, 3-year child, and when he or she is trying to understand this world, on that time, this cerebellum work, right, in early ages, right? So these are the function of cerebellum. Is that clear? Now pons. Pons is basically responsible for is responsible for basically respiration, right? So the basic function of the pons is respiration, right? It is involved in the respiratory activities, and it have respiratory system, and it also maintain the blood pressure, right? Blood pressure, right? There is a medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata is also responsible for like it remains connected. It connects the spinal cord with the cerebellum or thalamus, and it is responsible for controlling the heartbeat, blood pressure, breathing activity, salivation, sneezing, vomiting, and coughing. Right? All these activity are controlled by medulla oblongata. And as we have already studied in part of respiratory part, respiration system, that medulla of pons varuli basically have the center for the respiration or controlling the lungs. Is that clear? The function of midbrain and hindbrain. Clear, Mazia? Okay. Fine. So come to the next topic. Transmission of the nerve, the most important question of this chapter. But let me tell you, they can ask you to draw the diagram of brain, the diagram which you have seen previously. They can ask you to tell the function of cerebellum, pons, right? They can ask you to draw. These are 3 marker questions. They'll ask you function of pons, or the function of cerebellum, or function of complete hindbrain and forebrain. Hindbrain and forebrain. So they can ask you this in hindbrain. They can ask you the forebrain. They can ask you the function of frontal, right? Now the third part, which is most important, the most important part, it can be 5 full mark question, right? Long question, or even can be short question, 3 marker question, right? So this is the transmission of nerve impulse. How does the nerve conduction takes place? This nerve conduction part, this is a long question. They can ask you a long question in this form, right? So there is a theory called membrane ionic theory of nerve impulse. It tells you how does the impulses travel in our body, or how does the current flow in our neuron, right? So basically, this theory explains the system or the pattern, or we can say the process by which the information flows in our nerve, or we can say current flows in our nerve from one point to another point. And this theory is called membrane ionic theory of nerve impulse. It was given by Edukiran and Huxley in late 1930. This theory states that electrical events in the nerve fiber governed by the differential permeability of its membrane to the sodium and potassium ion, right? Because of the differential permeability of sodium and potassium ion. Look, this is the diagram which I have shown you in this diagram. This diagram belongs to neuron, right? In neuron, inside the neuron, there is the protoplasm, that is, or neuroplasm, that is called ICF, intracellular fluid, the fluid which is filled inside the cell. And outside of the neuron, there is ECF, extracellular fluid. During the normal time, the sodium potassium pump or channel pump function. Sodium in ion potassium pump, the 2 potassium ion pump out outside, and 3 sodium ion are pumped out inside in normal days, normal time, right? So in normal time means when there is no stimulus, then what will happen? There are pump, or we can say there are a channel. We have studied the pump and the channel in detail in our cell biology class, and even in when I was telling you the plant transport, there we have studied in good. We have spent a good amount of the time to understand that the process. These pump, or these are ion channels, they are present in the membrane of neuron. Generally, when a stimulus is not over there, or neurons do not have the information is not flowing, or they are not excited state, so on that time they pump out 2 potassium ion outside and 3 sodium ion inside. But by this way, what happened? The ECF have negative charge and ICF have positive charge. Whenever a stimulus is given to the neuron, the pump become opposite. They start they start throwing out 3 sodium ion outside and 2 potassium ion inside. So polarity changes. This stage is called polarized state. So that's how these ion channel or PAMP channel work. Is it clear? How does the ion channel are working? Is that clear? Nazia? Ion channel clear? Sodium potassium pump? Very good. Fine. So now come to the functioning. How does they function? In main part, the functioning. How does they work? Here, what happened? There are two main phases. Like there are two main phases of working. First, the resting membrane potential of nerve. What is the resting membrane potential? When neurons are inactive. And action membrane potential when neurons are active. In resting membrane potential, it is also called polarized state. When there is no impulse, right? So what happened? The ECF, the outer part, I have told that outer part is ECF and internal part is ICF. This pump pushed out 3 sodium ion outside and take in return they take 2 potassium ion. By this way, more positive charge as external surface in ECF, right? More positive charge in ECF and less positive charge in ICF. Hence, comparatively, outer membrane have positive charge and inner membrane have negative charge, right? This is called polarized state of the membrane, right? So resting potential is also called polarized state. Now, whenever it get any stimulus or it get any kind of the information, we call this stage depolarization. What happened during depolarization? The ion channel or pump start working in opposite manner. What they do actually, they take 3 sodium ion inside and push 2 potassium ion outside. They become just opposite of resting stage. What happened due to? In A side, there becomes a positive charge and outer side there becomes negative charge. Now what happened? A side have positive charge and B side have negative charge. Current start flowing from A to B, then B to C, and that's how the current flow, right? Inside the neuron. So inside the neuron, what happened? The information flows from A to B and B to C. But what happened in outer membrane? In outer membrane, the current flow from where? From B to A, right? So that's what is explained over here. When threshold stimulus is applied, rapid influx of sodium ion start, polarity get reversed. It is also called action potential or nerve impulse. The current flow from side A to B in inner surface. On outer surface, current flow from B to A. The impulses goes from A to B side and then B to C side and then C to D side. That's how the impulse flow inside in our body, in our nerve. Is it clear? Is that clear, Majia? Okay, great. And I have sent this PDF, the same PDF already, and you must have the same PDF. So if they ask you the long question, you have to just make the same diagram which is given over there, which I have made. Now the transmission of nerve impulse. How does the nerve impulse transmission takes place? So in transmission of nerve impulse, here we study the transmission of information from one neuron to another. Look, the first part is called presynaptic knob. So this is this one number, presynaptic knob. It is the part of one neuron, right? It may be the root of one neuron, and The another one is called, that is the post synaptic neuron. Means this is the another neuron, dendrite of another neuron. So there are, so how does the information transfer from one neuron to another neuron? Look, remember, I have already told you, look, I'm again making it. Mazia, when I was telling you, when I was teaching you, I told you that there are, if suppose that there are two neurons, right? Information will flow from one neuron to another neuron. But generally, how does the information? So here, the root of one neuron, right? Root of one neuron remains, the information is transferred from one root of one neuron to dendrite of another neuron, right? And this junction is called, what we call, this junction is called synapse, right? So this junction is called synapse. What will happen? The information will received by the dendrite, flow in the axon part, right? And then another neuron, and that's how. So how does the information transfer from one neuron to another neuron, right? So there are two ways. First are called, so this area is called synapse. So there are two kinds of the synapse. First electrical synapse and then chemical synapse. In electrical synapse, the flow of the information is very fast. That's why these synapses or these junctions are found only in brain, and they are basically called gap junctions, right? So electrical synapses are known by one more name, that is called gap junction, right? So what happened? This is the part of presynaptic neuron, means the part of one neuron, root of one neuron, and postsynaptic neuron means the part of another neuron. These both remains physically connected with the tubular protein structure, right? So direct, the ions are transferred from one neuron to another neuron. That's why they have the very speedy neuron, or they have very fast speed. These are called gap junction, right? A small protein called tubular structure that allow the free movement of ion between two neurons, right? And they are responsible for faster transmission, right? Chemical synapse and presynaptic node and postsynaptic node. There is a structure called synaptic cleft, right? Synaptic cleft, right? So here the physically transfer of information do not take place. How does the information transfer takes place between these chemical synapse? In chemical synapse, they are not physically connected by any protein, any tube, any kind of. There's a gap between two. That's why they are also known as what? That's why synaptic cleft. They are called synaptic cleft. Look, whenever the information reaches to the end of axon, what happened? These axon starting like first point. Look, these axon information reaches. These axon starting receiving or absorbing the calcium and this step 2, calcium and from outer environment. Now the vesicles which are filled with the neurotransmitter, they start, neurotransmitter is a type of hormones, starts moving to the outside. These vesicle reaches to the end and vesicle burst. When vesicle burst, they release the enzyme or they release the hormone neurotransmitter in this gap area, in this space. After that, what happened? These neurons, neurotransmitter are received by the membrane of another neuron, right? These receptor. These receptor are basically made up of the protein. They receive the neurotransmitter. When they receive, these channel open and transfer of sodium ion takes place from this gap to another gap, and that's how the information flow. Right? Look, the same have given. In chemical synapse, nerve impulse arrive at the presynaptic node. Calcium ion enters from the cleft to the node from outer space to inside. This second point. I have written the given the number as well. Second point. Third point. Synaptic vesicle moves down and they get rupture. This synaptic vesicle move down. This is the third form. Third stage. This one. This is the third one. Then fourth. Neurotransmitter discharge in cleft. Here, this is the fourth point. Neurotransmitter is discharge. Right. Fifth point. The neurotransmitter bind with the receptor. They bind with the receptor. Sodium ion allowed to enter. Now this, when they bind with the receptors, the channel open. Sodium ion allowed to go inside. Depolarization or action potential start in the second neuron, right? That's how the gap junction, and that's how the the synaptic cleft they work, and that's how the chemical synapse work. Is that clear? Transmission of nerve impulse between two neurons. Is that clear? Look into that, Mazia, and let me know. Mazia? Okay, clear? Did you have the same PDF? Right? Because they can ask you what is the gap junctions. These are the basically they are the 2 marker question. They will not be 4 marker question. Fine, fine. Now come to the next part. Reflex section. 3 marker question. Again, short answer. They can ask you the draw the diagram of reflex section, 2 marker question, or they can ask you the complete reflex section. So what is the reflex section? Those actions which are the sudden, they are called reflexes. They are very quick, very sudden. Touching any hot object and pulling back behind. That is called reflex. So reflex section are of 2 types: spinal reflex and cerebral reflex. Those order which do not reaches to our brain, they directly come back from their spinal cord, they are called spinal reflex. Cerebral reflex action, those actions for which the information reaches to the brain and suddenly, very quickly, very fast manner, the order comes back, they are called cerebral. So reflex action are basically 2 types. Spinal reflex actions are faster and cerebral reflex actions are smaller. What are the reflex actions? Again, the driving the car. When we drive the car, hardly we see the clutch, brake, gear, and all that. We see at the road, we listening the song, but every action is going on. The second thing, playing the harmonium, playing the piano, and typing anything, right? Playing the guitar, we hardly see the keyboard, we hardly see the wires of the guitar, and we keep on doing that, right? So this is the reflex. Now, again, come to the reflex arc. This is the diagram of reflex section. Whenever a person touch a hot object, receptors present in skin, the receptor take the heat or the pain. The information is taken to the spinal cord. The information which is taken towards the direction of the brain, they are called sensory neurons. Those neurons which take the information from organ to the brain, they are called sensory neurons. So sensory neurons, they take the information. Information reaches to the backbone. There is a particular part that is called relay neuron. This relay neuron takes the action, and this order is transferred to the motor neuron, right? Order. Motor neuron come to the effector muscles which have to work, and this complete pathway is called reflex arc, and these kind of the actions are called reflexes. So in spinal reflex action, the decision is taken by a special part that is called a relay, right? While in cerebral, the decision is taken by the brain. That is the difference between. So reflex actions are those actions which are taken suddenly, and they are very quick. So tell me, is it clear? Reflex are clear? Reflex action clear or not? Human eyes. So now come to the human eye. Human eye diagram important, but it's not that much difficult. So suppose that if they give you a diagram to draw the diagram, 3-marker diagram, so at least you have to label 8 or 9 labeling. If you do the 8 and or 9 labeling, they have to give you. If you are labeling more than 7 or 8, then they have to give you like 3 marks, right? But they can ask you to draw the well-labeled diagram of human eye, right? So look, this is a structure of human. So human eye is basically made up of 3 parts, right? Outer fibrous coat, which is made up of 2 parts, sclera and cornea. Middle vascular coat, so that is made up of choroid, ciliary body, and iris. And inner part, inner nervous coat, that is called retina. So we have divided human eye in 3 parts: outer fibrous coat, middle vascular part, and inner nervous part, right? Look, the outer part, that is called sclera, right? This is the part which is called sclera. Fine. The sclera is outer part. It is outer fibrous coat. It is called sclera, and cornea. The front part is called cornea, right? Then the choroid part, that is the middle part, right? This middle part is called choroid. Inner layer is pigmented epithelium. The innermost layer is called retina, and inside this yellow color structure, this is called vitreous humor. So vitreous body or vitreous humor, this is a liquid-like structure. It do not changes. Once filled for always, right? And in the retina, there is a depression-like structure called macula. Macula is a depression-like structure. This is just opposite to the what? This one, pupil, right? In macula, so suppose that there is a structure, this structure, this is called macula. Inside the macula, there is a special point which is called fovea centralis, right? So in macula, there is a fovea centralis. So fovea centralis is that part where the most clear vision can be seen, right? Because this is made up of basically cone cells. Again, there is a disc-like structure called optic disc, and this is also called blind spot because at this part of the retina, in this at this part of the retina, the image formation do not take place, and this is called blind spot, right? Now again, this part, this front part, this is called, this outer part is called cornea, right? And inside the cornea, there is a there is a chamber where the liquid is filled, that's called aqueous humor. Aqueous humor keep on changing. There are a particular kind of hole like structure, they are called canal of Schemme. Canal of Schemme, they drain out the aqueous humor, and continuous the aqueous humor is secreted by this cornea part. Cornea keep on secreting aqueous humor. So at every 24 hours, the aqueous humor changes. So there are 2 kind of the liquid. At behind the lens, there are vitreous humors which never changes, and in front of the lens, there is aqueous humor which keep on changing in every 24 hours. So these canal of Schemme, they drain out and mix it to the blood, and it is excreted out from our body. Again, just behind to the cornea, there is a structure, this blue color structure which is shown in the diagram. This is called iris. Iris is a curtain-like structure, and it have hole at the center. The hole which is at the center of the iris, this is called actually the pupil, right? And the hole is the size of the hole depend on the iris. So iris control the amount of light because the light goes through this pupil, right? So the size of the pupil is controlled by iris, means the amount of the light going inside the lens is controlled by iris, right? So iris keep on controlling. Suppose that we go in the very sunny day, sunny day. It's a very high light intensity is over there. What we do? We just start shrinking our eye. Means we are to start shrinking our iris. So when iris shrink, then the hole or pupil becomes smaller and less amount of the light goes inside, and we are able to see clearly. When we reaches in a darker room, suddenly a darker room, so what we do, we keep on widening our eye. When we widening our eye, what happened? Actually, what we are doing, we are widening our this one iris. So when iris widen, then the hole size increases, means the size of the pupil increases and more light goes inside, and even in darker room we are able to see clearly. Behind this iris there is a structure called lens, and which is biconvex, and it remains suspended with some ligamentous structure. These are called ciliary body, right, the muscular structure. And from here the optic disc, these neurons or optic nerve originate and they take the information to the brain. So this is the basically structure of our human eye. And one more thing, the front part of the eye, it absorbs oxygen from the atmosphere. And second most important thing, the outer part of the eye, it do not have blood supply, right? It's avascular. Is that clear? Okay, great. So they can ask you the diagram. Now, mechanism of vision. How does we see? Look, whenever the light reaches from the pupil, it reaches to the lens. From lens, it focuses on the here retina. This is the structure of retina. The light falls on the retina. What happened? The light reaches to here in rod and cone cells. In rod cells, they have a special kind of the pigment, rhodopsin. Rhodopsin. Rhodopsin is made up of iron plus opsin protein, right? Whenever the light reaches over here, since sun reaches over here, right? So these pigment dissociate. When they dissociate, then the impulses start in the bipolar. These bipolar cells, they take the information, right? Chemical potential. This chemical potential reaches to the ganglia where it is converted into the signal or in form of the electrical potential. And then this electrical potential, it reaches to the our brain. That's how the information reaches to our brain whenever we see particular thing. So basically, the breakage of rhodopsin pigment, it start the impulses, and that's how we see. This is the mechanism of this. Tell me, clear? Now the last thing, that is a human ear. Uh, they won't ask you to draw the diagram of human ear, but yes, they can ask you the mechanism of listening. This here, the important is the mechanism of listening. And sometimes they can ask you the what is the structure of cochlea. So human ear have been divided into basically three parts: external ear, middle ear, and internal. External ear is basically made up of three parts: pinna, external auditory matters, and tympanic membrane. Pinna is this outer part. This is elastic and cartilaginous structure, and its function is to receive the wave from the outside. This outer part is called outer ear. This is the pinna, right? And this it is made up of elastic cartilage, right, which give it the flexibility, maintain the shape. And this ear canal is known as auditory matus, right? And this membrane-like structure, which we call curtain or eardrum, this is called tympanum, right? Now this is called tympanic membrane, right? It receives the sensation and vibrate. Then the middle ear, this is the middle ear. Look, this is the middle ear. Middle ear is made up of three bones. They are called ear ossicles, right? They are called ear ossicles. This is the structure, right? This is the structure, ear ossicle. This ear ossicle, this is the eardrum or tympanum. Then there is a one more bone called malleus, then incus, then stapes, right? So this is they remains in the tympanic cavity, and in tympanic cavity, these bones are found. These bones are called ear ossicles, right? And they forward the vibration. Now come to the internal ear. Internal ear is made up of this kind of the structure. This is called cochlea. This one, internal. Internal ear is made up of two structure. So this outer this structure, it remains closed in a bony structure, and in bony structure there is a liquid. This structure is called organ of balance, right? And this inner part is this round part. This is called actually cochlea, right? And the remains keep on floating in a liquid that is called perilymph, right? So look, this is the organ of called organ of balance, right? This posterior part, this is called cochlea, and anterior part, this is called this part called ampulla, and the tubes are called semicircular canal. So this is the lateral semicircular canal, posterior semicircular canal, and superior semicircular. So there are three semicircular canal. They maintain the balance of our body, and this round structure, this is called cochlea. Inside the cochlea, there are hair-like structure called organ of Parietal, right? And they take the information, and the information is taken out, or it reaches to the brain with the help of auditory nerves, which take the information to the brain, right? This is the basically structure of our ear. Is that clear? Look into the diagram, look into your NCERT. In case if you have doubt, please ask. Mazia, is that clear? Okay, great, very good. Now the last part, that is the mechanism of listening. Look, basically, if they ask you to draw the well-level diagram or explain the mechanism of listening, just remember this diagram. I have forwarded this diagram to you people, and even you might have taken the screenshot. So you have to draw this diagram. This is the best explanatory diagram, right? So sound wave, they came from outside of an external environment. This sound wave hit the membrane, that is called tympanic membrane, and they create the vibration. Now the vibration reaches to, so this was the external ear part. The vibration reaches to middle ear. In middle ear, there are three bones, malleus, incus, and stapes. They are present in a cavity called tympanic cavity. Information, this vibration is taken by, the waves are converted in the form of vibration. Vibration is taken by malleus, then transferred to incus, and finally stapes. Stapes remains attached with a membrane structure called fenestra ovalis, right? Fenestra ovalis receive the vibration. Now there is a tube called scala vestibuli. Scala vestibuli receive the vibration, and there is a membrane called resonance membrane. So in scala vestibuli, the vibration reaches to the resonance membrane. Resonance membrane vibrate. Inside the resonance membrane, right, like other side of the resonance membrane, there is another tube called scala media. Scala media have a hair-like structure called organ of Parietal. They are sensory hair. They receive the stimulus, and the stimulus, after receiving the stimulus, they transfer the stimulus in the form of nerve impulse to the brain, right? And extra sound goes out of the body from this tube called scala tympani, and then it reaches to the Eustachian tube. An extra vibration is taken out from our body from the Eustachian tube. Eustachian tube also maintain the pressure of our brain, ear, right? So this was the mechanism of listening. Go through with it, just have a look and let me know if you have any doubt. Is that clear to you? Fine. So tell me, Mazia, what is the next doubt? So just have a glance with the complete chapter, and in case if you have any doubt, ask me please. Fine. So what is the next doubt other than this chapter? Right. Which one, Mazia? Which chapter? The cell chapter means the structure of cell or cell division and cell cycle, cell division, and all that. Okay, cell cycle and cell division. Fine. And when you have your exam? 14. Okay, you have time. Today is 5th. Today is fine. No issue. So we can do one thing. Either you can do today, or today we won't be able to complete actually today. Right? I don't think so. It's a big chapter. Cell cycle and cell division. Right? Yeah, it's a big chapter. Today we won't be able to complete the chapter because hardly 35 minutes left. Right? So either we can do it tomorrow, whenever you want to, when you want to do it. Today, what you can do, just ask me few more questions because we have 10 minutes more, right? So you can, what you can do for the next 10 minutes, you can ask me the rest of the chapter, rest of the small topic if you have any doubt, right? And what we can do, either you take the one more class tomorrow or next Saturday, whatever you want. It's up to you. Even I can give you tomorrow. Even I can give you next Saturday. Next Saturday, okay. So right now, what you do, what I suggest you do one thing. First thing that ask me this small topic if you have any doubt in all small topic in complete your syllabus, whatever your syllabus of your examination. And between the today and the next Saturday, what you have to do, complete again, revise the complete syllabus. I will prepare, like I will make you to prepare the cell cycle and cell division completely in next class, no doubt. But what you can do in between in these 6 days, again revise the complete syllabus and note down the small point or small headings or whatever the small concept wherever you problem have, right, wherever you have any problem, and then ask me in next Saturday. And today what you can do, you can ask me the small topics or heading where you have it out today. So look at into your NCERT and ask me. No other doubt, right? So revise the complete syllabus and even including the your cell cycle and all that. So next class I'll do complete the cell cycle, right? Okay, Mazia. So everything okay? Fine. So see you next Saturday, right? Bye bye. Take care. Good night.